A few months ago, we told you about the Pittsburgh Dumpling Project, and today, the final chapter.
Oh yeah, Hal B, Klein, the senior food writer and dining critic for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, is back. Hal, this has been a labor of love, so much so that you're going on vacation because you have been eating your way through the city, and you're like, what do I do with myself? I guess vacation now.
Yeah. What do you do after 6 chapters,
Of
64 dumplings listed?
Yeah, and carbs on carbs, essentially.
Carbs on carbs.
So this last chapter is really a love story to what we know as the pierogi. And you said that this is really a story of immigration, too.
Yeah, I mean, the whole project is, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at it, it's all people coming from somewhere else. And pierogi is so interesting because people who have been making pierogi from Eastern Europe have been in Pittsburgh for, almost 150 years at this point. And so it's really amazing. But then in my reporting, I found out that the first time a pierogi was mentioned in a major newspaper isn't until 1951.
Wow, that's a big gap.
Yeah, it's a huge gap.
Somebody just caught on to it. Is all that happened. Wait, I'm catching on to something. Have we as Pittsburghers added the S? Like, I get called Heather Abrams all the time. Like, the S is just added onto the end. So we've been saying pierogies. Is it just pierogi?
You know what? This is one of those things that it's like, do what you want, do what makes you happy.
Good.
So some of the restaurants we talk about in here have pierogies in their name.
Okay.
Some people refer to pierogies singular as just pierogies.
Like
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
But this first one here, App Tech, I'm glad we covered that.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's important. You should have been in on our editorial meetings about each of these. Momo's Momo.
Yeah. Apteca, this is the first time that I've physically ordered pierogies at a restaurant, and I have to say, they were delicious.
They're amazing.
And crispy.
Yeah.
And good. And everything,
and made by the first James Beard Mid-Atlantic Chef Award finalists in the history of Pittsburgh, whose whole thing started with pierogi. They started doing this pierogi pop-up in the early 2010s. And now they own this restaurant, and it's, everything. It's beautiful Western Pennsylvania produce. It's incredible cooking, it's great hospitality, but the pierogi is still at the heart of what they do.
And it's the reason why there's a line out the door all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So what else did you cover in this last article on this?
So we really look at like the evolution of the pierogi from the church basements, which I think we're all familiar with, to the opening in 1991 of Pierogies Plus in McKeesport, where Helen, the woman who owns that, takes all these, she's from Poland, she was Pittsburgh, she's doing these very traditional toppings and then fillings, and then someone's like, hey, can you stuff kielbasa in there? And she's like, sure. An Italian woman was like, can you stuff ricotta and spinach in there? And she's like, sure. And so this is when you start to see pierogi take on its own Pittsburgh spin in a lot of ways. And you see that at Cop Out Pierogies in Etna as well, that it becomes this thing where it's like, everyone's tailgate food now, right?
Right.
So you still get those beautiful potato cheese pierogies, crisped with butter, onions, but you also get like a buffalo chicken pierogi. And now, when you're talking about Apteca, you're also talking about restaurants like EYV on the north side, 40 North, that are doing pierogi at these like really beautiful restaurants and doing it in this like really beautiful way, which ends up at a place like Lilith in Shadyside, which Jamilka Borges, who we all know, who's of Puerto Rican heritage, is doing something that you would instantly, if you saw the plate at first, you'd go like, man, this is so colorful and vibrant and beautiful, but also instantly you'd recognize it as a pierogi. But she's using yuca to stuff it, which is a tuber that's from South America.
So it's like a Puerto Rican
spin to
it. If you've never done it, Frankie introduced me to a pierogi surprise, which is you go to Cop Out or Pierogies Plus and you get a variety of the different, and you boil them all and cook them all, and then you don't know which one you're gonna get.
That's fun.
It's one of the best surprises you could ever get.
I mean, that's like the joy of dumplings right there. Like that's like as joy of dumplings as you can get.
You can't go wrong with the dumpling.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your dedication to this Pittsburgh
staple.
That's a good job to have.
You did it.
Good job, Hal. Yes. Hal B. Klein is a regular here on PTL, and we're going to have the link for his dining reviews and his Pittsburgh Dumpling Project on our website at pittsburghtodaylive.com.